back. We are live. We have a better show than we had last episode. I will say that. Better panel, only time will tell. But better group of movies, absolutely. It's not even close. No motherless Brooklyn here tonight. So woo! But Mark's back. Mark is here. He's brought tendies, but he also brought another movie. Mark, how are you? What'd you bring?
I'm doing well today. We're getting close to July, and you start to feel like, man, what are the movies that make me feel like it's July and make me want to feel patriotic, so to speak. So I brought the Mel Gibson classic, The Patriot, because yeah.
From the master of disaster himself. Let's go, Roland Emmerich. I've learned something through these roundtables I do with a certain someone. I spent a lot of time with him actually on call, but I realized we could not be more polar opposites in movies than Dylan Van Fine. Dylan, we go for different things when we watch movies. It's clear at this time in my life. But Dylan, how are you, and what'd you bring that would, be right up my alley?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I'm doing good. First of all, I'll say that.
Yeah,
But
cool.
I will give myself credit. I do think I've had a pretty good track record in
Yeah,
picking
you have,
movies that
actually.
you would enjoy.
Sure.
So this time I would decided to go a little bit riskier. I picked Orson Welles' The Trial simply because I think there's a lot to talk about it, and I honestly had zero clue how everyone on this panel would react to it. So I'm excited to see how it goes.
It's fair. Next up, first time, the greatest trio partner in the history of the universe, Joseph Olivas, a fan of the Roundtable, watched a lot of the episodes and wanted to be on, so that's awesome. Joseph, first time on, what'd you bring and how are you?
Yeah, my introduction to Roundtable was seeing Mike and Azario torture Kelly Meehan on that one all Australian episode. So I was scared something like this might happen, but I thought this was okay. The movie I brought was another Mel Gibson movie, Ransom, from 1996.
Okay. And returning, I think the last movie you brought was like
or It's Vidata, everyone's favorite.
just a gem. Spence is back. Spence, how are you? What'd you bring?
I'm doing all right. I think a lot of us know Dylan is really good at trivia, hasn't seen shit. So I think I messaged him for our Secret Santa thing. What of my top 100 have you not seen? And I have that list back pocketed. And I said, what is going to Dylan can watch a new movie, but also either Cody's gonna love me or fucking hate me. Either way, it's content. I picked Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
I have somebody blaring Boots with the Fur outside my house right now, so that's a great time to have that. Yes, we'll get to that discussion. I have seen Pop Star before, but I just haven't seen it since Letterboxd, and probably a good reason for that, but we'll talk about that later. But I'm doing fine. Again, I do a lot of these shows. Only Matt is the only one that asked me how I'm doing. So Matt, shout out to Matt from TV Chronicles. Go watch. But I brought Good Morning Vietnam. Robin Williams. I don't think I didn't follow the same vein as Mark. I just haven't seen. I didn't just pick when the U.S. was in conflicts, but I picked which honestly timely. We'll leave that and go to a different channel and probably hear that discussion. But what I brought it just because I wanted to rewatch a Robin Williams movie, and Good Morning Vietnam was the one I picked. Probably should have picked Doubtfire, if I'm being honest with you. I have not brought that on the show, and I absolutely love that. So that will come in a future roundtable. But we're here to discuss. I'm trying to create more of a roundtable vibe tonight, so we're going to be less stagnant as we've been, create more discussion. So the first movie is 1996, Ransom, and basically, What'd you like from this movie? What are some good things that you enjoyed from Ransom? We'll go around. I'm going to start this because there's a genre. I don't know if it's because I've had kids or just because this is always been a genre, but dad films are my shit. This falls into a perfect like dad action movie. It's the same time as I felt when I watched The Fugitive for the first time. Like, why the hell haven't I watched The Fugitive before? Same thing happened when this movie happened. I knew nothing about it, and let me tell you, Mel Gibson going nuts kind of works. I don't care how you feel about him personally. As a movie, as an actor, absolutely enjoy him in movies. I think he's absolutely the right amount of crazy. And yeah, this movie worked on ever. Great villain, great twist. Overall plot, it worked really well. Everybody else? What you guys
I'm
think?
gonna add something real quick, then I'm gonna go pick up my food. I feel like the only reason this movie works, and I use works very loosely, is the twist. I think building up to it and like it's kind of rote, it's kind of like whatever. And then we get to the actual like TV interview, and I'm locked in. Like I think that is like a genuinely interesting like twist on the formula, but everything else just kind of strikes me as generic, and I wasn't super locked in.
Sorry.
This
so
movie's...
I
Go, you go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay, so I wanted to say, I guess this could have been in the earlier part, but I wanted to bring a movie that I remember, I at least remember liking it. I wanted to bring a movie that I thought would be a positive note to start with. I hadn't seen this movie in a couple of years. I put together a giant list of movies that I had not seen in at least 3 years to try to rewatch it and see what happens. Ran a random number generator, and Ransom was the lottery winner. So now we're here, and
Yeah, I kind of do that.
No, you don't. Don't lie. You don't listen to him.
And so the first part, I think I can see what Spence is sort of saying. It's a little generic, but like it had me a little worried. Like, oh, this might not be as good as I remember. But then the second half happens with that twist that happens with the TV interview and with Gary Sinise's character, and the way that it builds up to it. By the end, I was like, yeah, I'm glad I rewatched this. I think it has enough amount of crazy from Mel Gibson and some very at least interesting characterizations in which how they try to humanize the kidnappers so that they're not just totally caricatured evil characters and whatnot. And by the end, I was still into it. I think that it was able to sustain the tension that it had by the last 20 minutes. Very glad I enjoyed rewatching this.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to hear that from Joseph on why he picked it, because when he dropped it in the chat, I was like, this feels like the most random pick from Joseph like ever. Like I would not have expected this. I quite liked it. It's kind of ridiculous. Like there's a lot of stuff that happens in it that doesn't make any sense. Like how did they not think that anyone would like find the key at the bottom of the pool before he did, considering it's a public pool? Or like I don't know. I don't know a lot about laws in the U.S., but I don't know if you can just go on TV and put a bounty on someone's head, like live on, to a person that doesn't even, to the person that you don't even know who they are yet, and you're like, you can be like, hey, I want this guy dead for this much money.
Dylan,
I'm like, I don't know.
He's
about
rich.
That.
He's rich.
He's writing
Fair
a check for $4 million to just.
Well, it was two at first.
And even earlier, when Donnie Wahlberg comes to get the money and he has no mask on at all, he's just like not showing his face to him completely fine. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But all that aside, I think it's a rock solid thriller. A lot of good moments. Yeah, a lot of good thrills. Like Mel Gibson sells it really well, and I even like Rene Russo is really great in it as well. But yeah, Gary Sinise I think is the highlight. He's a fantastic villain in this. Yeah.
Mark, what'd you like?
I mean, what I think is very interesting about it is that it's not a stereotypical performance, at least from Mel Gibson. Not in the sense that, at least around the time, it kind of felt like we were trying to throw Mel Gibson like in a lot of action roles, and this one is one where he doesn't do any of that. Like he's not really a tough guy. Like he's just he's just a regular, regular rich dude, I guess, so to speak, like just trying to get back his son, and he's going at him like the only way he knows how. Like, so I am gonna sort of agree with Spence. Like, at least the first half does feel it does feel like a somewhat generic, kidnapping movie. I think it's a pretty solidly built kidnapping movie. Like, it has a pretty nice cast built around it, and it keeps up the intrigue. But like, yeah, once he puts the bounty on the guy, and we're kind of sitting here thinking, is he doing the right thing? Like, that's when like the real intrigue starts. And I do think it is interesting is like you kind of put the like a bit of the onus on Mel Gibson to pull you in with the performance rather than kind of a lot of this like actiony stuff around it, which I do think is interesting. And on some level, like I feel like I mean, I'm honestly never really expecting a bad Ron Howard movie. I think that was also like the plus of like hearing this is a Ron Howard movie. He always at least puts together like a solid film in front of us. Usually,
He's kind of an invisible director, though.
Especially around this time, around the '90s, like he put together solid films.
So I think the twist overall, I think there's a few twists overall. I think there's some ridiculous parts, but like a lot of ridiculous parts if we're being real. But like that's just where you just like do the disbelief. Like I just am okay. Like this is the world they've created, whatever it is. Like nothing's more ridiculous than the bank, right? Going to the bank, he's gonna just go wire money. There's other officers like this man like. He's on the hunt. He accepts the phone call in the thing and is like, wait a minute, what? It's like, absolutely, yeah. So they be able to hunt him down right away. Those are ridiculous parts. But, like, that scene where he's on the phone with Gary Sinise and he's going back and forth like, you fucking like, you're not going to get... And I think that's where Renee DeRusso does such a good job, good performance in this, is because like you feel her as like the mom, and that's because imagine being a mom in that situation, and he's like dictating how this goes. The dumb part, which we can go into kind of the bad side of the good, like the middle area. The dumb part is this touchback to when he did something off, like the selling the money, like the putting person in jail, and they try to like make that the moral compass that puts him back and like makes the wife less trustworthy and the husband to have to do something different. I'm like, now you're going beyond the map. Like, I don't care. Like, he already has a son gone at this point. Him walking out and be like, it's up to $4 million now. Like, that stuff is interesting. When they're trying to do this moral compass, it just doesn't. That stuff doesn't work. But,
especially when it's brought up by the wife in that one scene, it like doesn't come back it doesn't come back at all between them and like the rest of the movie, and it's like, well, why was that even like?
Yeah, it seemed like we had to make this person care a little bit, and I don't know why, but it just overall, not that it's bad. It's just they're trying to make this like the rift between the parents, and it doesn't. I also think one of the good scenes is from the kid when he sees
his leg.
Yeah, and like pisses out his leg, but like looks and this freak out, and Mel Gibson like picks it up, and like how Gary Sinise like has such like a complex in this entire movie of like, you called us filthy trash. Like he didn't like the insult, and I will say when he's in the laundromat and he walks out and shoots the guy, like shoots and starts the whole scene and just like get off scot-free. I'm like, this movie just works so well for me. It checks so many boxes for me. I don't care if it's you're 100% right. It's very generic in action world, but it works so well for me in that action aspect.
For me, the first time I watched this movie, I was spoiled the twist about Gary Sinise being the bad guy. Stupid Schmodown videos matches turned out to be a question that I was like,
amen.
I wanted to see that movie. Then I see the movie, and then he goes on that double crossing against his entire team, and I'm like, oh, I am glad this was not spoiled for me, because that is both shocking. It is both. What am I looking for? That escalated quickly, and it kept me invested and wondering where this was going to go. That whole potential fake out where he could get away with it all was very suspenseful for me the first time I watched it, and it's still pretty suspenseful.
His story's awful, though. He drove at me. That car hit nothing. No, he didn't. He wasn't going anywhere. It was barely moving. Any investigation on the scene, be like, you're not telling the truth right now.
I mean, I didn't. That laundromat didn't look empty. They could have been. Yeah, no, he like pulled a gun out of his like ankle holster and shot a couple of rounds in that building. They definitely did not shoot first. I'm going to tell you that right now.
By the way, we can go to the bad, like if we have any bad. But your Ron Howard take is arguably one of the worst Ron Howard. I like looking at his filmography.
Are you really going to tell me
Hillbilly
that Ron
Elegy?
Howard doesn't make enjoyable films?
I've counted like at least. I don't like the In the Heart of the Sea, Da Vinci Code, Inferno, Angels and Demons. I think are all boring.
Okay,
Frost Nixon, he has some good ones.
He's made some great, all-time great movies.
You're a big fan of
He's made some really bad shit
like
as well.
90s Ron Howard. 90s Ron Howard is whenever.
You're a big fan of The Dilemma?
Well, no, but that's not 90s.
The number one far and away fan, Mark Menchaca.
I mean, 90s, I'll give you. You're fair. I'll take that. You didn't say that when you first said your stupid statement, but I'll give you the 90s if you want to.
I have a quick question for Joseph. Like, what? Like, not even just picking this, because I feel like what drew you to the movie initially? Because I feel like maybe it's just me, because again, not a Mel Gibson fan, not a Ron Howard fan. I don't know what like the hook is to have you be like, this is the movie that I really want to watch, the movie that I really want to rewatch 3 years later. Like, what am I missing? When every review I see on Letterboxd is like exactly 3 stars and nothing else.
Honestly, fair question. So when I was younger and more impressionable with the films that I watched, the twist by the end where, well, first of all, the whole new the new concept of the parent whose kid is kidnapped deliberately messing around with the kidnappers with the money that he could just pay and then get his kid back. I thought that was a very interesting idea. And it was also helpful that my dad was kind of like what Cody was mentioning. My dad also enjoyed it, seeing that twist develop. And then I was momentarily afraid that that gunshot was actually fatal when he's like, after he says, "Give me back my son," and then he actually shoots it. I momentarily thought this is going to be tragic, and then no, it doesn't happen. But for me, what clicked for me best was seeing the escalation at the end with how Gary Sinise almost gets away with it all.
I will say,
At least
you brought up that scene where he shoots at like the wall or whatever over the phone, and so I had seen that before I watched this movie. Obviously, that's like the famous scene that everyone quotes: "Give me back my son." It's like I knew that line far before I saw the movie.
That's great. I've never seen anything from this movie. That's what's crazy. I just
really
the clip that I saw from that scene ended at him shooting at the wall. So and them cutting away. So I went into this movie assuming that the kid dies. So when the movie kept going after that, I was like, oh, okay. I don't know actually how this is going to end. This is going to be cool. But yeah.
I feel like this transitions into like the bad stuff section. I think it's weird. Like building from Joseph's point. Like to me, the hook of the movie, why I would want to watch it, is a twist. At least to me. Like the anteing up the bounty and being like, I'm not going to pay you, kill these fuckers. Like, I think that's what gets me interested. And then it never like builds on that. Like if they did kill the kid, that's an interesting layer. Like what happens from there? Or if he does get away with it, if the kid doesn't walk out and piss his leg, if he does walk away with the $4 million, how does that change? I feel like there's chances at more interesting things happening, and it just goes right back to generic every chance it gets.
So when we use the term generic, like that's a fair criticism, but like when did it become generic? Because my thing is like we always like Kirk's horrible take is it happened one night. It's so generic as every rom-com. Well, bitch, the rom-com was the first. Like, that was the first one that triggered everything moving forward. So, like, generic action film, because we've seen so many, so now when we watch this one back then, now it feels like a paint by numbers.
I'm
not defending. I'm just curious where people use that as their get-off.
I think in terms of when it became generic, I don't know for certain, but I will say the movie that it reminded me of the most was High and Low, which is a great movie for me to be thinking of when watching your movie, because that movie's fantastic. So this is kind of like, to me, thematically and story-wise, kind of a bit like a Diet, High and Low. There are moments where I'm like, I'd kind of just rather be watching High and Low, but High and Low is still great. And I think this movie does like that story like a really, really, really well. So I don't really mind it being a bit generic, but yeah.
I think for me, I'm also using the term generic and predictable kind of interchangeably.
Hmm.
Like, it feels like the exact direction it should go. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that's obvious. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, none of it is like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Or like, it never catches me off guard other than that one scene. Everything else just kind of like, it makes sense derogatory. Like, I feel like if I am able to predict your story, it's not a great story.
When you go into, well, this is just for everybody. When you go into a movie, are you trying to find it, find out, like, use your detective work before it works? Not before you watch it, while you're watching. Like, are you trying to predict where this is going when you're watching?
No, but I do feel like I'm making educated guesses as the movie goes
it's hard
along.
to turn
That's
my
fair.
brain
That's
off
fair.
in
No,
that.
I'm just asking. I don't know, because me knew nothing, didn't look into the letterbox, don't know anything. Total off guard. Like, didn't see most of it coming. Now, again, naive, just turn off my brain, just enjoy what I'm seeing. But it was hooking me in where I'm just like this. But this is also where I go to my point. Very into dad revenge action movies at this point in time. Like, even like I get credit for like Christmas movies when they're like, even if it's around the Christmas, I'm going to enjoy most of it. I like Christmas time. I like the area. It's a guilty pleasure for me. So I don't grade on such a hard curve. So same thing with this. Mel Gibson going to get his son back. Fuck yeah. He could drive a car into a building and I'd be like, let's fucking go. Now, if Fast and the Furious does that, shoot them in the back of the head. They're dead. I hate them. They're stupid. So I get it. I think
that's a great point. Like, it is all about the context. Like, I think there's a difference between you're walking into a Shyamalan movie, be like, I'm smarter than this motherfucker. I know what twist he's gonna do, and sitting there focusing on undermining the movie. Versus, is my immersion within the film taken out by, oh, they did that, probably did that, and then like 15 minutes later, I'm proven right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair. Like, there are some movies that I watch that I don't immediately. There are movies that I watch that I'm interested in watching that I hope are not generic. Like, I don't watch movies necessarily for the purpose of trying to find the generic stuff in it, but sometimes they can be obvious enough that it makes me go, I've seen this in another movie before. Kind of like what Dylan said about the High and Low. When they have the discussion about whether they should pay or not, it felt to me like a standard step here. Like, leading up to the last Donnie Wahlberg scene, it felt like just a standard thriller, because these are all step-by-step scenes, if you know what I mean. Which is why I like the scene where Delroy Lindo's character, he talks about the stakes and statistics involved behind ransomed kidnappings. I think that puts an interesting perspective in how probable their situation will turn out good for them. And then Mel Gibson takes that decision to be on TV after that confrontation in that scrapyard place, because he realizes that they weren't going to listen to him. They were just going to kill his son all along. So, like, from there, I was like, oh, okay, that's something you don't see every day, I guess.
But I got to bring this up real quick. But yeah. What's Donnie Wahlberg doing in this fucking thing? Like, did we think like he was gonna pop off like Mark or something? Like, what is this shit? Like, what are we doing here? He works in one thing, and that's Band of Brothers. Like, that's it.
And Sixth Sense.
I mean, what do you want from him?
I thought he was fine.
My thing is, like, if the movie needed Donnie Wahlberg to move the needle, the movie's gone. Like, it's like, We know that, right? Like, if he's the saving grace, if you walk out of a movie like, damn, Donnie Wahlberg was really great in this movie.
That Donnie's a
Clearly-
star.
Clearly, the rest of the movie sucked. If you're picking up Donnie Wahlberg, he dies really well. I'm fine with it.
Okay. I mean, Saw
Wait, so
felt like they needed.
Saw
him.
2, great,
True,
great.
true.
I have a math question for you, Mark. What makes a movie better for you? A good Wahlberg or a good Baldwin? But not Alec or Mark. Second tier, second or third minimum.
Man, like a
Because
good.
I'm okay with a shitty Donnie Wahlberg. I don't need a shitty Baldwin. That ruins a movie.
A shitty Baldwin, definitely. I can solve with a Wahlberg problem. A bad Baldwin is a bad movie. That percentage has to be pretty large.
I mean, a bad Wahlberg is like mile 22. I kind of like mile 22.
Of course you do. You know what? That
Bad Baldwin's worse.
Again, and I will paint this looking at the poster of Ransom, like 96, Mel Gibson sitting in front of it with the title Ransom. I can understand where generic could come from. Me, I'm just all on board. We're gonna give ratings though, letterbox ratings. So don't come up with 2.5 bullshit. Bar is not here. That will never fly on the show. Joseph, it was your movie. What is your star rating?
Yeah. In hindsight, the one thing I wish I did a little differently was tailor my list of candidates a little more, because looking back and seeing the pattern of previous roundtable episodes, I feel like I got lucky that Ransom got picked, because if it was one pick below or after Ransom, I would have gotten actually One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or Beverly Hills Cop, which I think was good that this one, because I feel like those other two movies are either more watched or more discussed about because they're more popular. So like, I'm glad this happened for this episode. 4 out of 5. This is my same rating that I had the first time I watched it.
Yeah, I would have given a harsh, not a harsh. It's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I think is a good movie. I don't think it's a great movie. So it would have been an interesting discussion. But I'm kind of glad that you brought this, because I never saw it. Mark, rating.
Interesting. Would have been. I never seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I will give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a pretty fun thriller. And I
Space Invaders.
think 4, but you know what? Like, I had to represent. You know.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, it's a fun thriller. Yeah.
Okay.
Who you got next?
Dylan.
Yeah, I'm with Mark on this one. I'll give it a 3.5 stars. Yeah, I think it's like a really strong 3.5. I'll say that. Like, this is the type of movie that reminds me, like, me and my dad don't agree on many movies, but if my dad was like, yo, Dylan, you want to watch Ransom? I'd be like, hell yeah, let's go. Because yeah,
your dad just loves watching Eraserhead with you. It's his favorite fucking thing. Oilers. All right, once that's done, can we watch Eraserhead? What is this kid? Come on, Dad, watch the Seventh Seal with me. Spence.
I am shocked. Okay, I'm giving it a 3. This gives the vibe of like TNT every like twice a week.
Fuck yeah.
Like,
Fuck.
I don't know how
That is a
Mark
Cody
watches
movie.
like 30 times as a kid. One small note, a fucking waste of Renee Russo. She gets nothing to do. She has one fucking scene where she thinks the kid dies. Other than that, she's like in the background. She's
also
nothing.
really stupid and goes to a church and gets the shit beat out of her, so that's not smart of her. But I will say, if TNT would like to contact me, I'm the perfect guy to run your programming for movies. I guarantee we align identical.
Spielberg is to the Criterion Collection as you are to TNT. Like 6 p.m. on a Tuesday night, that's Cody time.
Yeah, fucking Shawshank going right into the Green Mile. Yeah, I'm at 4 stars. I'm interested to see on a second time watch on if like the twist and everything. If it bothers me, probably won't fucking bother me at all. I'll be like, when he sits there, $4 million, give me my son back. Love it. Yeah, so perfect. Joseph climbed straight to the top of the charts as person of Roundtable. By the way, I'm looking for 2 other people to join Roundtable next week. July 20th will be our episode. It's Jacoby Bancroft, me, and Mark. We just need 2 more. If you're watching, send me a message. I'll probably message more people to figure out if you're going to be on. Now, what should be as I did?
Dylan didn't have a rating yet.
I did.
He did
Oh,
3.5.
sorry.
3.5.
Give it a 3.5. That's right. Sorry.
Popstar. Never stopping. The good things. What? Because I can't talk very much.
Adelaide, do you want to start since you picked it?
Very high in my top 100. I watched this actually for the first time in theaters with my parents, and my dad was like, "That sucked," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." And then I rewatched it like 3 more times. Like, wait, you're like really wrong. I think it took me a while to get into Hot Rod, but I think like the language that Akiva Schaffer has for comedy is so good. Like, my review for this is that any like minute you'll find an S tier joke. 'Cause I think it's really densely packed and balances smart with stupid really well. Like a nothing joke, but that I just absolutely love is right after Conquest drops and he's like reading the reviews. It's like Pitchfork gave it a shit emoji. And then, oh, here's a good one. The Onion, Conquest, a triumph. Mixed. So let's call it mixed reviews. Like it's really smart how stupid that joke is. The whole movie does that. And I think that is an incredible job.
Yeah, this is my first time watching this as Adelaide set it up. And yeah, I had a really good time with this movie. I thought this was pretty funny. Yeah, Lonely Island, for some reason, whenever I hear other people talk about them, I get the impression that I hate them. Because I'm like, really, we're doing Lonely Island references in the 2020s? Come on. And then I watch like Hot Rod or now this movie, and I'm like, man, these guys are funny. Like, I don't know. This is my type of humor where it's just like stupid bullshit the whole time, and I was fully on board. Even like they throw so much at the wall in this movie, and like I'd say about like a solid, for me at least a solid 80% of it lands. So I think that's a pretty good ratio for how much jokes there are in this movie. There's like maybe 9 jokes per minute, it feels like at times. But yeah, overall, I really dug this.
You know, it's
also.
Yeah, go ahead, Joseph. Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. This was also my first time watching it, and I want to preface this by saying this is not my comedy style. Like, I was a little. I'm not the biggest Hot Rod fan. I'm sorry. That movie is very hit or miss for me. So, like, I was really scared about this movie, and my fear going into it was that it was going to be so over the top meta that it's self-referential every second of the movie, and it would be obnoxious to watch. And it wasn't completely that. It is self-aware. Andy Samberg as Connor is very idiotic, and I just want to slap him to his senses. But I appreciate that this movie makes him stupid to a point. So he's stupid to a point where he is a commentary on how some celebrities are so full of themselves that they don't realize the value of their friendships, and they are willing to go for riches over them. And then there's the conversation that he has with his 2 friends at the barn at the end. I think is actually one of my favorite parts, where he continues on being stupid, and then he realizes he really was stupid. So he has a little bit of change there and change of heart, and then he bonds again with his friend. So like, there are parts that I appreciated, even if I didn't laugh as much watching it, or if I just didn't like the type of humor in the movie.
fully
Yeah.
agree with Joseph there, and I just want to play off that was maybe the funniest part of the movie for me is that entire, and it's all in Andy Samberg's delivery. It's that entire monologue of him, the writing about the writing process of the the catchphrases
Yeah,
song.
the catchphrase. No,
It's like I was there the whole time. I was a little late. Okay, fine. I didn't show up. And it's just like no one's saying anything, and he keeps like fucking.
The joke goes on
was,
for so long, it stops being funny and then gets funny again. It's great.
Mark, what were you gonna say?
You talk about how Method Man could make an album, but he's still a member of the Wu-Tang Clan. No, I mean, I do think it is funny how you brought up. Holy shit, there's light. I think it is funny how you brought up Hot Rod, which
wonder how dark it was gonna get.
Which Hot Rod admittedly did take a couple of viewings. Like, I do not remember liking it the first time I saw it, and then I had to deep cut it one time and was surprised that I actually kind of enjoyed it. And Adelaide, you took me back to June of 2016 when I went to a completely empty theater on a Friday to watch Popstar, and walked away really liking it. I really enjoyed my time, and it holds up today. It's still really good. It is just like machine gun with the jokes. Not all of them hit, but it just keeps blasting away, and like almost all of them still hit. And I really like the music, and I don't even think it's just because like it's like particularly good music, but it's like framed as what a popular pop song would sound like, but they're just saying like just the dumbest shit in the song, like humble. Like humble is a stupid fucking song, but a guy saying how he's so humble, but it sounds like a song I'd hear like on Pop 2K on Sirius. Like it is just ridiculous.
The thing that I found funny about the music in this movie is like, so like when they're talking about like when he goes solo and releases all this music that gets critically panned, and all of the music that in this universe is considered bad sounds just as shitty as the music that is considered good, and there's like no difference between them, which I found funny. But yeah,
I disagree there. I think the songs we hear pre-Conquest are kind of boring, and Incredible Thoughts is shit, but like in a funny way. I will genuinely listen to I'm So Humble and Mona Lisa and even Bin Laden, like out of context. I think those are really fun. But even I think the songs are well written. I think that Andy Samberg is like a good performer. I had the lyrics pulled up because it took me so long to be able to say it without stuttering. But the line, I feel more humble than Dikembe Mutombo after a stumble left him covered in a big pot of gumbo. How the fuck do you think of that? Like that is complicated and difficult and smart.
You have
like
to be
it's
dumb. You have to be dumb.
It's smart. Here's the thing. I think Hot Rod, you're laughing at the stupidity. This is aware how stupid it is and like builds on it. I think there's a lot of really strong effort and knowledge put into the screenplay and the jokes and in the music. Like 5 stars. Like I know this is a top of my 100. Like I fucking love this.
Well, we're not at ratings. What the fuck are we doing?
It's in my top 20 all time. What do you think? I'm like fucking 2 stars. Fuck this movie.
Let's stop jumping.
I also do think it is kind of interesting because like it is kind of playing off of a bit of a, I guess like a gimmick. I want like kind of these like concert like kind of almost like documentary type movies were coming out a lot then. And I would think that would date it some, and it really doesn't. The movie still kind of works on its own.
I think it's supposed to be a direct parody, not like 1-to-1, but I think the directors were mostly inspired by the Justin Bieber, I think like 2012 concert docu whatever.
Yeah, there's even like a scene at like the Anne Frank house, which is like very, you can tell it's clearly a reference to the Justin Bieber situation.
Do not go in there.
Yeah.
I think we talked about a lot of good things. Let's focus on some bad. This movie sucks. I hate Andy Samberg with a passion. I watched it in 2016. I was with a group of friends. They were laughing. I was like, yeah, it's not that bad. I watched this on the... I have an announcement. Zach Ford might be right. I don't like comedy. I don't know. I remember I sat there for 30 minutes with a blank stare on my face, and I didn't chuckle once in those first 30 minutes. I was like, I was at an open mic night and the fucking person was bombing, but they wouldn't get off the stage. That was the worst part. I was in hell. And I 100% get why this is people's comedy. I'm also one that hates Monty Python. I hate Airplane. I don't like dumb humor. I like crafted jokes that seem to work. They don't craft these well for me, and I think Andy Samberg is like a wet fart as an actor. I think he's horrible in general. So when he goes and says a joke, I'm just like, I hate him as a person, so it doesn't help overall the comedy. There were some Lonely Island songs I enjoyed at some time. This is my problem with like SNL and stuff like this and like these bits. It feels like they're great for like moments, but when you span them out for a long period of time for me, it just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't. I think if I had to give it a plus, like I like the celebrity like cameos. I think I may have done the chuckle the first time at like the wolves attacking Seal. Like that was on like, this is just stupid. Or no, I think it wasn't even that part. It was when he was like, the last time I checked, trust Yelp reviews for party wolves or whatever. Like I was like, that's funny. But other than that, I'm just like, it was just a blank stare.
What about when Usher said his inspiration to dance was the donkey roll?
No, that was so dumb.
Okay,
I
but
was like, I
Mariah
understand
Carey
why
being
they're
like, I'm
trying
so
to
humble, it
attach it.
speaks to me.
I was like, I understand they're trying to attach to it, and like that was like, and to get real celebrities to do the stuff like that, that's overall funny. And like putting the helmet, like I got the references they were going for to make it funny. Like, this helmet's really inconvenient, it hurts my neck. Like, why are you even here? Like, why are you talking to me? Like, that's the DJ stuff, and that works for some people, but like, I thought I'd giggle at the Bin Laden song. Nope. I thought I'd like giggle at something. I just was blank stare. And it's just not my comedy. I just don't like it. And fucking Hot Rod is better. I strongly do. Hot Rod's a fucking abomination. I hate Hot Rod too. So I'd watch this over Hot Rod any day of the week. But like, no, it's never watch again. This is why I haven't watched it in almost a decade. Like, I have not given it a second thought. And I know Spence has asked me this question, but have you watched Popstar? Yeah, but it was a while ago, and then it happened here. I don't hate you for bringing it. Comedy's a hard thing for me to
I
hit
think
with.
there's a bar for you where it's like, if you grew up with it, it's like, it's fine. And then once you turn like 19, 20, you gotta fucking jump over something high to get the Cody rack, which I get. Like, it was not just fight against you.
No, you're 100%. And I don't fault anyone. Like, it should work. Like, there are jokes in there that I think I'm just a grumpy old man at this point in my life, I guess. And I just don't care of like that. And I find Samberg annoying. So that's where it's harder for me to even grasp on it, because I find him just horrible. Like, I can't stand him. Like,
and I'm surprised that you say Hot Rod is worse than this, then, because this is maybe the most Andy Samberg movie that is ever Andy Samberg.
I think the reason why I do that is because Hot Rod is like a story. Like, This seems like a documentary, kind of like bouncing between real and made believe. Hot Rod, I just have to accept these human beings for what ride, bro. And I don't want to be on the ride. I don't care. Like, there's no Usher and no Pink and people like that showing up to break me out of the hell I am on Hot Rod.
How can you not love the fact that they got Emma Stone to feature on a song called "Turn Up the Beef"?
Like, it's fucking stupid. So that sucks. So,
I did not realize she was in this movie. I didn't know that this
like,
time
we can't
around.
talk about it. Like, it's wild.
And like, was that Emma Stone singing a song? What is this?
They pulled a lot of favors for this movie, but yeah.
And then we just have unnecessary. I mean, we want to segue. The unnecessary dick on the window was something that was just that I completely forgot about. And I had my like office door open. I was watching the thing, and I was like, "Oh, there's boob. Oh, okay." Oh, close the door and then turn around. I literally closed my door. I turn around, dick, and I was like, "Wait a minute, this is wild." So yeah, wild time.
So a story about that. Before I had watched the movie, I got a DM from one Adelaide Spence saying, "Just to answer your question, that's Judd Apatow's penis." And I was standing in line at Harvey's about to get a burger, and I just did a fucking double take at my phone, like, to answer my what question did I ask where that's the fucking answer? Like, and then I watched the movie and I'm like, oh, is that what they're talking about? But
And that's Judd Apatow did that.
I need some. I need to give perspective. I read his interview because he was asked about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's my penis." After I made Forgetting Sarah Marshall, everyone asked me why I felt the need for Jay Steele to show his dick, and I thought, if I'm gonna ask someone else to, I should probably do it myself. So 8 years later, just whipped it out over a cracked window.
I mean, I didn't know it was him for like 9 years, so maybe he still is the scumbag.
But I'll say Judd Apatow needs to take a cue from this movie. We need more comedies that are less than 90 minutes. Because this movie, perfect.
We need more movies that are less than 90 minutes. Fucking Christ.
There's a perfect movie coming up soon.
I mean, we got a movie coming up that feels like 90 minutes. I'll tell you that right now.
That's what I'm talking about, brother.
Yeah.
That is what I'm talking about, brother. Anybody else want to talk about the bad? Because it seemed like no one had any bads, except me.
I will say, like I said, 80% of it worked for me. The other 20% is just like, I'm not a fan of the humor where the joke is just, "Hey, look, it's this person." Like that's why people
Looking
love
at you,
Bullet.
it's a mad world.
People love the movie Bullet Train, and there are so many moments in that where it's just like, "Hey, look, it's Channing Tatum," and I'm like, I don't care. And in this, it's like there are moments like that. Also, it's like, I don't know, hearing celebrities complain about TMZ is like the most obnoxious thing to me.
That's fair. Yeah.
Oh, that scene.
So when that happened, I was just like, oh, whatever. Like, yeah.
That scene where he's walking around drinking, like, go really laughing, and I was like, I've seen like maybe in my total life like 10 minutes of TMZ like clips, but I was like, I get the reference they're going for, but like, I want those are moments that I just want to turn off the thing.
And I get it. Like, I hate TMZ too, but like, this,
yeah,
it just felt like, oh, whatever. And it's like it. Whenever you can have Eric Andre in something and have him not make me laugh, that I feel like is a big sin because I love Eric Andre.
Oh yeah, so, if that was supposed to be horrible, like it worked. But I was like, this. You have some real comedy people, the people that I think are really funny in this scene, and it's not funny to me. I guess I'm supposed to laugh because they're imitating TMZ, but I could care less.
Yeah.
I will say, I think in general, the people like going against your TMZ bit a little bit, I think having the cameos or like famous people playing the smaller roles is generally funnier than the celebrities being like, yo, I fucking love the donkey roll. Like, I think the Timberlake bit as the fish is phenomenal. Like, I think that's great. Bill Hader's thing with flatlining, a phenomenal like cutaway gag. I think it's really dense, but it mostly really works. But I don't need to hear how Questlove is like, yo, Style Boys changed my life. And then you get like 5 more of those people. That I understand. Still, phenomenal movie.
Phenomenal just means something different where I'm from. That's fair.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of scenes that feel too stretched out to me. Like there's the occasional scene where they have that ending conversation, like I mentioned at the end, and then there's the dick scene in the window that makes me go like, okay, come on, like just move on. And it's like
that Parent Trap thing they just tried to run into the ground too. How many mentions of Parent Trap do we need? Yeah,
that too. There's some of the songs I think are I agree are pretty funny. Like there's there's satire and they're spoofing other popular culture style songs, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Sometimes they go for a little too long, but like I was prepared to excuse me. I was prepared to dislike this movie in the first place. So for me to not actively hate my life while watching it, I'm like, you know what? It could have been worse.
I was sitting there waiting because I remember not hating it. So I was like, oh, let's see how. Man, Cliff. That sucked.
In what other movie will you see Adam Levine giving himself back shots? Like, that is a special kind of cinema.
You know what? You said it now. I should rethink my rating.
Thank you. Yes.
Speaking of rating, I'll just put my review. The back shot convinced me. Like, thought I hate this, but Adam Levine back shot. Spence, you've already said, but what is your rating?
5 stars. I haven't like double checked. I think it is like maybe top 15, if not, it's right around there. I deeply love this movie.
Mark.
Yeah, 4 stars. It's a great movie. I like it a lot.
2 stars. It's a movie. Joseph.
Again, not my thing, but like expecting worse. Got some dumb but smart satire in doses, and it's less than 90 minutes again, so 3 out of 5.
Dylan.
Man, I'm not used to agreeing with Mark this many times on an episode. I hope that continues on to the next movie. But yeah, I'm also going to give it 4 stars. Yeah, I thought it was really funny.
Okay. The Trial.
Yeah.
Woo! Keeping that same energy going.
I was sitting here the whole time trying to think of any way to segue into this.
I have just a real quick question. This is not good. This is good, bad. I'm going to kind of just mix the area. And this may be rude, and I don't know how everybody's going to take this. Is Anthony Perkins considered a good actor?
Yes.
Oh wow, I thought he was great in this movie, but
I think he's
I think he's great. Okay.
Like, maybe not in this movie. I just don't think he's a good actor. I don't like Psycho that much either. So, like, that sucks. Like, I get those vibes. But, like, I'm just curious. And then when I looked at his filmography, I'm not missing, like, I've now, I think, seen the 3 biggest that he is known for.
He's not, like, known for a lot, really.
Right. So, like, maybe there's a reason why he just didn't. And I don't think he's... I said terrible. That's probably the wrong one. I don't think he's that good as an actor, but I don't think he's like, he didn't make this movie horrible. I don't want that to be the vibe. Like, he has acting choices that he does in these movies that just don't work for me. And he's on full display in this one, like this movie, I think, him alone. Basically, if you're on board with him, great. If you're not, I don't think it's going to work that well. But I'm curious what everybody else thought. But yeah, you're good. The goods. I was just curious because you guys have seen more classic movies than me. So
I guess I'll start then, since no one's talking. So I picked this movie. I saw it for the first time last year, and I really, really liked it. Wanted to watch it again. So I'm a big fan. This is based on if you don't know, a Franz Kafka story.
Excuse you? What do you say?
Kafka.
We talked about Kafka in the last one.
It's Kafka.
Oh, Kafka. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
It's literally Kafka. They say that in the fucking credits. It's not ask, it is.
I know. That's why it's Kafka-esque. But anyways.
It's also a bad episode.
True. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah. So I like this movie a lot. And I don't know. I just like Kafka as a writer. I don't read shit about literature. Like, I don't know shit about literature or nothing. But like when I had to take an English class in college, and I was forced to read the story Metamorphosis by Kafka, and I was like, I like this guy. He writes interesting, weird shit, and I like weird shit. So that's cool.
That checks.
So when I heard that Orson Welles made an adaptation of a Kafka story, I was like, I am in. And it gave me exactly everything I wanted. I watched this movie and I immediately understood where Terry Gilliam got his entire style from as a director. This movie gave me heavy Terry Gilliam vibes. Parts reminded me of Brazil even, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So that's a good reminder to have when I'm watching your movie. But yeah, even just the technical aspects, I think, are like just unbelievable in this movie. Like the way that he uses shadows and lighting in this is just like unreal. And yeah, it looks like Joseph wants to say something, so I'll let him go.
Yeah, the shadows was what I was gonna say. That was maybe my favorite shadow work that Orson Welles has done from the movies that I've seen from him. The first 20 minutes or so were a little confusing to me. Like I was trying to get adjusted to what type of story it was. But the one thing that was keeping me glued to the screen, I mean, actually 2 things. Anthony Perkins' performance, but then the style of the framing and the harsh shadows where it's a total mystery with why he's on trial, I was just like, how have I not heard about the cinematography from this movie before? Like, oh my gosh, I thought the Magnificent Ambersons had brilliant shadows, but like this movie is like it's just gorgeous from start to finish. The the performance that Orson Welles also gives in this movie, I think, is also really, really great. The the problem I've had, or maybe not a problem, but a reservation that I've had with the Orson Welles movies that I've seen, his directed ones anyway, is that they feel like they take their sweet time, and it kind of bores me sometimes and puts a strain in my watching. But then this movie, I think, has the best pacing, or at least my favorite pacing in his movie so far. I was invested enough where I was wondering where this mystery was going. I loved the performances from Anthony Perkins and Orson Welles. And then by the end, I felt like I was understanding what the whole point of it was. Even though they never give you the reason for the trial, I feel like there's enough interpretation for it to make it very memorable.
When you say it's the best pacing of his movies, are you saying like all of Wells as a whole?
That I've seen.
Have you seen Citizen Kane?
Yes.
Okay.
I like this more than Citizen Kane, I'll say that. I might even like Popstar more than Citizen Kane.
Oh, I'm so conflicted now. Oh, God.
Mark, do you like this movie more than Citizen Kane?
Funny story. I have not seen Citizen Kane. Not really a story.
Oh.
Next week, next month on the roundtable.
I gotta be honest. Like, I usually this is the type of movie I do really. At least whenever I have on the roundtable, do kind of like sitting back and hearing people talk about it a little bit, because it's one that because there are a couple movies I'll watch and I'll sit there and go, okay, all right, shit. I hope I'm not the first one to talk about this. I'll just say that right now, because like I'm and it's just. I definitely like a decent amount of parts from this. I definitely like Anthony Perkins in this. I kind of like him a lot. I just think in general, which I think he works really well as the person who's on trial, just because like Anthony Perkins just kind of he feels like a creep. So I'm kind of sitting there as like, okay, I don't know what he's being accused of, but he's probably guilty. I'm just assuming he definitely did it, whatever he did. Like, he's just a creepy guy. Like, he's guilty for sure. So I think he kind of works for that reason. And then like him kind of slowly losing his mind, I think he builds off of that pretty well. And I think the mystery in itself of him like kind of going through all these facets and him going through like this underground society of like law or whatever is kind of interesting. However, I do think part of this movie is me. I kind of want to know the deeper story of this. I want to know what he's
That's
being
the
accused
point.
of. I get it, but it's like what
Mark,
is this
Cody,
though?
you're muted.
No, he's a human. He's being judged because he's blah blah. Like there's a whole. That's what I at least got from. I don't know if I'm right or wrong on it because I have a 9-year-old brain, but it seems like because you're a human, you're judged by the systems created by the world. Like you're already guilty of the crimes of being. That's what my takes.
Okay.
There's also,
Honestly,
and we can get into this, there's also a subtext to it, which deals directly with the casting of Anthony Perkins. Because at the time, it was, so Anthony Perkins, if you don't know, he's gay. He was closeted in the time this movie came out. And according to one of Orson Welles' like partners, I think close friends or something, that they said in an interview, Orson Welles knew that Anthony Perkins was gay, and that's why he casted him in this movie, which gives the movie like a completely different like subtext. I didn't know that when I first watched it, which is kind of why I wanted to pick it again to watch here, because when you watch it, when you watch this story now of someone being persecuted for no reason and they don't know why, and it's completely out of their control, it gives it a completely like different like feel to it. So I thought it was like very interesting from that point out. And I just think Anthony Perkins is phenomenal in this movie. Like I can see why why it could bother Cody a bit, because I don't think Cody likes very neurotic people very much, which is what Anthony Perkins is. So
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
You remind him too much of Caleb Boatman.
Oh well, there it is.
I watched this. So I real quickly on that note, I watched this from that perspective that they're not. This is from the 60s. I'm assuming that because they never say what crime he's guilty of, it's just that he's gay, and that would make sense because I did read about Anthony Perkins being in there, and honestly, even if he wasn't, another interpretation that I think could be interesting was that maybe they just don't like him. So if they tell him enough times for a long enough time that he's guilty of a crime, they just want him to confess to something dirty or something filthy, of one of his own dirty secrets that will make them convict him and then execute him. And I think either way would make the movie very brilliant. That's why I want to rewatch it, because this first time that I watched it with that gay subtext, I thought it was brilliant. I want to rewatch it to try to pick at it more from that other perspective.
Let Mark shoot, and then I gotta go.
You know, I just wanted to bring this up real quick because you bring up the whole Anthony Perkins thing. I think that I was going to bring it up as a bit of a joke, just because I thought it was really weird that it felt like every 20 minutes there was a woman just throwing themselves in Anthony Perkins. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, hearing you say that does make me think, is this almost like the people around testing Anthony Perkins, like just see how he reacts to like women just being thrown at him all the time? Like that actually brings another layer to the movie I didn't really think about going into it. I find kind of interesting now.
Yeah.
So the subtitle of that makes more it's similar. I wouldn't say I'm incorrect on the assessment then, because it is basically the human, but this is more on that side of it, being persecuted for not just being guilty of this, of whatever. But that would make a little bit more sense, because that's what I was trying to grasp at the entire time of like, I think he's just guilty of being human. Like it's just like as a human, like because of the crimes. So no, I overall I didn't dislike the movie. It was more of I could understand why somebody watches this and be like, this was shot really well. The shooting, the style of whatever annoyed me personally. I just that's not a shock for anybody that knows me, because like they're like, I hate Wes Anderson for a reason, because like I like how he shoots his movies just drive me fucking up the walls. So like, but this one I think they were creative in the thing. I just don't like Perkins. I didn't like Perkins as an overall performance. I didn't think he was like outstanding, but I don't think he was bad. So it's hard to gravitate with his overall performance. And then I was trying to grasp like overall, I guess the subtitle would have helped a little bit more, because I didn't just assume that. But like, I was trying to get to the point. You know what I mean? I was trying to get to the point of them, and I'm a plot-based person. I like my paint by numbers. I like a beginning, middle, and I like to know where we're going. And I don't like it to just leave it up to my interpretation of how things fucking go. And because I'm not smart enough to be the interpreter of what this movie really means. So
since you started the negative, I do want to say, because I haven't added a whole lot. I feel like I don't have a lot to say, but like it's the only movie that I don't have any notes on. Because I think Joseph right that it's directed really well. I think Wells has this masterful like control of tone and emotion. The movie just never changes emotion. Like I don't feel real up or down. I just kind of felt washed over. Where if you're already starting at like a 9, like, hey, you did a crime, we're gonna fucking find you, we're gonna arrest you, we're gonna kill you, fuck you, dude. You never leave that. Like that is like the tone through the whole movie, and I can't bring myself to really get invested or connect with the film when it never. I feel like there wasn't a door. Like I just showed up and I got trampled over the second Disneyland's doors opened. Like I don't know where the fuck I am. I'm just deep in the pavement, and I had to find myself from there. like it's so hard for me to connect with anything going on. But I respect it. I understand it. It's not like a bad movie. I just don't have that entry point.
Honestly, that's kind of fair. Like I mentioned earlier, the first 20 minutes, I also felt that way. Like there's you're right in his shoes, and you're put in this situation where you don't know what's going on. And I feel like I just felt for me like I was put in Joseph's shoes because I am Joseph, and he has these confusing scenarios. What is going on here? And then as it going on, I just let it wash over me, like kind of like what Spence was saying. And I kind of like what Cody was also mentioning, the style, you might not eventually get into it. For me, it did. Uh, the I guess me trying to actively figure out what's going on, try to find a subtext to it, at least helped me in this instance. I hope that maybe in the future, maybe something else will help you or make you want to see it again, and then have it done from another point of view. I don't know, but yeah, it worked for me. Yes, I can understand why it might not work for you, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I also think if we're getting into negatives, one negative I have is, I think this one could also be a bit shorter. I don't know if it needed to be 2 hours long, because I can see that it does get a bit repetitive by the end, because it does stay in that one mode the whole time.
I'm like fucking find him guilty already. Like, what are we doing? Like, we've been chasing this dude for 2 hours. Like, put him in jail, or what are we doing?
But I genuinely, I think that like it does have a really strong tone if we don't have to sit in it for so long. Like if it's like, I know this is like drastic, but if Orson Welles said, "Hey, I'm going to take the budget and make like a really strong A cast list, whatever, like short film, like 20 to 30 minutes," I think that is, I see now what everyone else sees. I think you can maintain the tone for that long, and you still have. I don't love the book ending where you're like telling me the point of the movie.
Yeah,
and Orson Welles is like, "Hey, this metaphor, you're in it. Whoa, shut the fuck up." Like, I think that might work better in that format. But even if you lose it, I think the movie's stronger for it.
I mean,
They'll tell you in film school that you should not rely on narration when writing your scripts because it's a cheap ploy in advancing your story.
Is that his name? Krause? From Adaptation?
Yes. Yes, I think it's Rob. No. Robert Prosky's right. The actor. Anyway, but like here, Orson Welles telling you to just let the mystery happen. It made me think
Robert
of a Serious
McKee.
Man. That's it. It made me think of a Serious Man where one of the characters tells you just accept the mystery. And
I'd rather not. I need to know. By the way, side note, Bar had texted us in a separate chat and said 5 minutes into Varsity Blues, and this is not the tone I was expecting. What were you expecting? Was he expecting groundbreaking cinema here?
He was hoping for a good movie.
I mean, he stumbled upon one. I
mean, listen, like A+ cinema is seeing Scott Kahn's ass in the morning. Okay, that is what you're looking for.
But suddenly seeing a dick in a car window is a 2-star movie. Okay, see how it is.
I mean, I
want this on the record. I did not give it a 2-star because of the dick. That was not the 2-star.
Would have gone higher or lower if there was no dick.
Cody.
He made it very clear that it needed more back shots.
Yeah, the back shots were improved. It was 1 star. So why don't you watch your mouth? The dick helped it, if anything. It was less jokes that were happening. It was just physical comedy. Star ratings. Dylan.
4.5 stars. Yeah, I love this movie. My favorite Orson Welles movie. I'm sorry. I love Citizen Kane. Obviously, is great. I just don't love it as much as everyone else. But Yeah, and one last comparison. If you're a fan of the movie Beau is Afraid, I think you should watch this movie because it has a very similar tone because they're both anxiety-fueled nightmares. So yeah.
Fucking Mark loves Poe is Afraid. Speaking of Mark.
I mean, one plus this movie has is not an hour longer of just total bullshit like Beau is Afraid.
Beau is Afraid is great.
It is not.
It is
Okay.
amazing.
Hey, Mark, make your choices wisely on the next roundtable you pick, because if not, I'm going to counteract it with Beau is Afraid.
I mean, why are you kneecapping yourself? Like that makes
You'd have to watch it too. Cody.
Honestly, that's a good
Space
point.
Invaders 2, fucking bring it, Mark. Shot for shot.
Son of a bitch, I didn't think about this.
yeah. I think I definitely like this. I definitely like this, and honestly, the conversation built it up a little bit more. Even though I am a little bit like Cody, I do kind of need a little bit of more of explanation. Sometimes I am a bit of an idiot, but
You watch Space Invaders. There's no explanation.
I had it at 3 originally. I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's still a good movie.
I'm at 3 stars. Fine movie. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but like overall, didn't regret my time. Wish it was a little shorter. Joseph.
When I watched this, I did a double feature with this and Doubt. Boy, that was interesting.
Way better.
And intense.
Doubt's way better. That's fair.
This is, I have this at 4.5 out of 5. It's a strong contender for top 10 favorite first time watches this year for me.
Awesome.
Wow.
I like it.
Spence.
It's a 3. I don't feel super passionately either way. It is well made. I just don't like it. Dylan, watch F for Fake. It is better Orson Welles.
I've seen it. It's
And
good.
it's better than this.
Touch of Evil. Have you seen that?
F for
Or what?
Fake.
I haven't seen it.
Touch of
Okay.
Evil's
I hear that one's good. I haven't seen it either. So
It is.
Um,
it is.
Okay. Probably the shortest movie of the night. We'll talk about the good about the Patriot, baby. Me and Mark don't always agree, but let me tell you, there are certain times that things just line perfectly. We get on a call right after. He's like, "Oh, what date are we doing this? 22nd? I got this. I'm gonna do." And then he sent me a picture, and it was the Patriot. I was like, "Perfect." And then Joseph dropped Ransom, and I was like, "You better not switch. You better just keep what you said." So Patriot, we're gonna go over the good. The good.
All right, so get to the
Tomahawk
next.
scene.
Tomahawk. My review literally is a hatchet and American flag. Tell me something more.
The
I'm a
pacing.
history nerd.
Yes.
History nerd. I love Revolutionary War. I like looking into it, even if it's complete just goofy off the wall shit. It's fun to be back in that era. I think Oscar. No, that's not. That's Oscar Isaacs. I'm looking
Jason
at
Isaacs.
Jason
Isaacs. Fuck yes.
That's why I don't play. I think he gives one of the all-time like villain performances. Like, I think he's outstanding as the villain. Like, when he looks at the group and is like, "Oh, ready to burn the town in your command." Burn the town. Burn the church. And it's like, what? He's like, "You said if anybody goes against the British, they should die a traitor's death. Burn the church." And like all of them locked away and burned it. And like when he shoots his son, and it's like, "Stupid boy." Like, and he's like, the rules of war. Like, I quote this movie more times than I can. Like, I just am fully all over this movie. Mel Gibson is a revengeful dad, like in the entire situation. So fucking good. Dylan's looking currently what I'm like describing. He's like, "These are shitty parts of all this." This is how I felt during everybody talking positive about the pop star. So I get it. Everybody else, I could keep going for days on this. The good.
So I was nervous about rewatching this movie. I remember watching this when I was younger, and I had a bias for it because there was this girl that I liked who said that her favorite movie of all time was The Patriot. So I just paid attention to all
Red
the
flag.
good stuff.
Fuck
in this
the
movie.
red flag.
And that's Cody's wife,
Ma-
right? That's
ma-
here.
Honey, come in. Like, do that. She
And,
wouldn't watch this movie if I paid her.
So like revisiting it and knowing more about Roland Emmerich's movies, And the Mel Gibson history, it's way more flawed to me now. But
Oh,
given that it's a 2 hour, 40-minute plus movie, and this movie still flows better than a couple of other movies that are shorter than this, I'm like, you know what? Amidst all its flaws, amidst all its unabashed
Canadian is showing Dylan.
America patriotism, I can still take away that I can watch this movie, sit down, and be immersed with it, that it doesn't feel like 2 hours.
Yeah, this movie fucking rules. I like this movie so much. I will say partially I think why I like it a lot is a bit, we brought it up earlier. I guess he was just a guy that they put on all the time as a TNT. They show this all the time on TNT. And yeah, I think it is kind of crazy how how well the action is, just from the sense like it is like a revolutionary is revolutionary. I think on that respect, like I think it's tougher to make it look cool. But then we get to where he brings like his two teenage sons to kill some redcoats. Like I mean, like it is funny. Like
Aim small, miss small.
we allowed Mel Gibson to traumatize his kids because he had no other help. It was
Dude.
either them or
It was
no-
badass. That's why we allowed it.
His immediate reaction to his son dying was just to take his other two sons to go take on an entire
Hold
fucking
on.
army.
We're saying that he
Yeah, and it's
traumatized them from
fucking
shooting. Their brothers just got shot in front of him.
My point is, if you're so sad about your son dying, why are you taking your other two sons to go fight an entire army by
Because
yourself?
we need two more.
That's ridiculous.
We need
He
two people to
needs
shoot.
like do you not know anything about
I don't know anything,
military
you're right.
planning? He needed to create a
caught
choke.
me. You
He
caught
needed
me.
to create a choke dam. He needed these kids over here shooting so he can go here, here, and here, so he can make people think he's a fucking
He's a
ghost.
ghost,
and fucking
Dylan.
lost.
Okay,
He's
but
the
Dylan,
ghost
you're
from the
forgetting it. He's a
Revolution.
loving dad. When his kids are about to be killed, he jumps out of the tree and goes, ah! And just takes them away. It's fucking great. It's cinema.
Yeah, everything was in focus, so that was good.
I mean, but no, like the scene, and what I do kind of like about this is it is a bit to where like Roland Emmerich was actually kind of a good director back then, because I do kind of like the motivation, at least from Mel Gibson's character, for the majority of this, in the sense that he doesn't join the like the war because like he agrees with kind of fighting the British, or he's trying to like create a new country. He joins because he wants to protect his kid, because he doesn't want another one of his sons to die. And I think that is a very good motivation like throughout. And I think it is kind of interesting because by the end, like he doesn't even want to fight anymore when when Heath Ledger does die, which is also that's a fucking awesome scene. You want to talk about like putting in like 90s action moments where that priest gets killed and then he just flips over the gun to Heath Ledger. Oh, fucking cinema. Amazing.
I want. There's something that you mentioned that I wanted to focus on. Is I can bring it up more in the negatives as well, but Roland Emmerich, shockingly a good director in this. Beyond like we know he does the action well, but I think that I'm still weirdly engaged in like because this movie normally I would think it's like mostly like 90% action. There's a lot of these like quiet character moments that I'm actually like connecting with these characters. Seeing Heath Ledger's romance is like weirdly moving, which I would just think that like it's a Roland Emmerich movie. It's a woman that is the character, no deeper. But I really like the connections that they have there. I do think that like Gibson's apolitical nature at the beginning is like an interesting start to it, and it is truly like it is just revenge. Once Jason Isaacs is dead, fuck it, I don't care anymore. Kill those fucking British. I'll just hang out on my farm or whatever. Like I think it's an interesting perspective that I think I won't say works entirely because of Emmerich, but I'm shocked that he makes it work this well.
I think they do a really good job with showing that he's not on for war. He doesn't even want his son to go, and his son's like, "You're gonna go against my orders and against your family's orders," and he's like, "Oh," instead of using them to stand behind them and not do anything. So basically, the tension, and then the only reason he gets involved whatsoever, and from everybody's account of how ruthless he is as a person, as they paint him up as the boogeyman. Like he's the America's greatest hope in this entire process, but they don't he doesn't show that at all. Like he just is making rocking chairs and doing his own shit, and then all of a sudden you kill his fucking kids, and then the fucking Warhammer comes out, and that's who he is. That throw of that tomahawk into that fucking guy's head, I was like, that scene. There are two scenes. Mark's a fucking weirdo that rewatches a lot of scenes. 10-year-old me, let me tell you, that cannonball taken off that person's head and that tomahawk scene, I must have watched on repeat forever. I thought that was the coolest shit ever.
I mean, I will say, you mentioned they call him the boogie. I mean, where he takes down that garrison troops with his son, is definitely that, and he goes ham on that dude, the last guy, and he's just painted red with blood. And I mean, he's such a psychopath in that scene. He doesn't even change his shirt whenever he goes and picks up his kids. You see him in the wagon, he's still beat red. And Jesus, Dad, watch your face.
Mom and Dad, hey, if we're not back by sundown, bitch, we're back in 25 minutes tops. We took out this entire group, and then he shows up crimson red and be like, "Hey, Dad's back. Get away from me!" What? Yeah. America, buddy.
I mean, it is funny because he is shocked that his daughter won't talk to him. It's you return like fucking Michael Myers at the end of Halloween.
Tomahawk was literally painted red, and you're gonna want me to give you a hug.
So I will say this. I was kind of playing it up a bit. I don't hate this movie. I will say that. There are things that I like about it quite a bit. I think the cast is actually from top to bottom is really, really solid. I think Heath Ledger was really great in it. Mel Gibson, again, say what you will about him as a person, he's still a good actor. I feel like, and I think he sells it really well as the main character. But yeah, can I go into negatives a bit here?
Sure.
Wait.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I wanted to say there were two other scenes that I really loved. The daughter, Susan talking, of course. It's the heart of the
Cody weeping. Yeah.
Final
move. Awesome. Also, I remember liking this scene the first time, and I still really liked it on this rewatch. The final when Benjamin finally talks about what he did to all those soldiers, I was thinking to myself, they are trying so hard to make him into this all-American hero, which he kind of still is. But the fact that he's still opening about this trauma which for this movie haunts him, I think was a really very interesting layer to his character. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, so I did initially, even though I think it actually worked, the whole story with him doing it joining the war basically just because he's a family man and he's doing it for his kids to protect his family. I thought that was really well done, even though I did at the beginning roll my eyes a Roland Emmerich movie with daddy issues. So I'm shocked. I am shocked. But
what? Daddy wasn't there.
But yeah, my main thing is just it's so long, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't find, and again, I'm not American, so it just doesn't connect with me that much, and I just feel like it's so cartoonish in its depiction of the war that I just can't take it. I just can't take any of it seriously, really. Well, so I was even when they got to some of the more serious stuff, I was this feels so out of place with the movie I've been watching, where we're watching cannonballs bounce off the ground and take people's heads off, which in a vacuum is pretty awesome. I will say, I like horror movies, I like gore, so when that happened, I was like, hey, that was kind of cool. But
you're not wrong, because there's flaws in this movie. I just choose to ignore them. But even Sven said, the love of
connection.
I don't need that fucking love connection. That could go along to tomorrow, and I wouldn't have. But I think it carries stakes that pay off at the end. So overall, I think those are fine. There are stupid scenes like the war dropping off the prisoner exchange, that's the dumbest shit ever, but hilarious and works for me overall. It's just those are parts of if I wasn't objectively having a good time, And I don't think if those first 30 minutes aren't as strong as they are for me, I think this movie could fail miserably. If he doesn't shoot the son,
that scene, so they can realize that he's wrong about
when he shows up and basically goes like, burn the house, take the slaves, kill the people, but and just like instant, you're like, this motherfucker, I don't like this. And like the fact that he went on to play Lucius Malfoy and like my other childhood just makes like more sense perfectly. So we'll watch this movie and go, we're gonna cast him. But then like shooting the child and like setting that entire thing in motion. That's why like I'm on full board with whatever Mel Gibson does from there on in this movie. Because like, holy shit, like you killed the son. Like, I need to see him kill this guy. Like, I don't care how it ends. Now, again, Mel Gibson's the only guy that takes like a fucking horse to the shoulder and like gets up before the other guy and ends up killing him. Like that, he's dead. Like instantly, just crushed skull. There's so many goofy things. That's why I call him the master of disaster. Because like either his movie's a disaster, like this, there's a real good chance that movie sucks, or he just hooks me fully in for it. So yeah, but there's a lot of flaws. I think they spend a lot of time, but I think they spend a lot of time with characters that they try to make it count, and when actual bad things happen to them. Like that church scene alone, I think is one of like depressing scenes ever when they pull up and they're not here, they left, and he just looks and sees the chain on the door, and you're just like, fuck. Like I couldn't just imagine. That's got to be a horrible like sight, you know.
I think a problem for me is like I agree with John. I think it is too long. I think we don't need this to be nearly 3 hours. But I think as I'm sitting there and deconstructing it, I don't know what I would cut out, because I think the church burning scene is like really strong and works really well. But a big reason why it works is because you take the time to develop the side characters. And it's like, oh yeah, we just had the wedding, everything's great. And then as we characterize like the whole village, they're all gone. Like, it's not like, oh shit, we lost one person, I guess everyone else is dead too. Like, no, this is like, we grew to love the entire supporting cast. Because it's weird, because it's, to me, I think what you cut is the supporting, like, scenes. I think there's times where we spend like the crew in his battalion after he's recruiting at I think it's the Irish bar or whatever. Like, a lot of them get these little bits that we can lean into. And then the French dude, like, I think they're all just kind of like there, where it's touch and go, where it does make the movie worse if you lose that. But also, I don't want to be sitting here for 3 hours. I'm not here for this section. I think it's not paced well. Everything else, even though it works in context, it's still like, you know, keeps me going, keeps me locked in. I disagree with Mark. This does not feel like 90 minutes. I feel the 245.
I will say,
I don't at all.
I will say, as tragic as it was that Thomas got shot, how stupid could you be in that situation to go nothing on hand, just try to push Heath Ledger, Gabriel, away from the Redcoats and not expect to defend yourself or have a real plan? He just goes, run, Gabriel, and then he gets shot. I'm sorry. Tavington, it's line where he says such a stupid boy, or that line is deserved for him. Now, of course, that uses as a catalyst for Benjamin to go on the war eventually and protect the rest of his family. But still, I'm like, that death is really dumb. And while we're on the topic of Tavington, I'm sorry. This is, I guess, is a little controversial based on what everyone is saying. But like, Jason Isaacs at some times, and maybe it's not a knock on his performance, but the writing of his character is just so over the top evil that there were parts that just take me out of how cartoonish over the top he is.
Name it.
What?
I'll defend it. Name it. I'll defend it.
When he goes like something like Benjamin tells him like there are rules of war, he goes, there are no rules of war. And I'm paraphrasing.
No.
But like there are characters that are over the top cartoonish that are more grounded than Tavington. Hans Landa from Inglourious Basterds is more grounded than Tavington here.
Are we comparing Roland Emmerich and Quentin Tarantino in the same breath?
Yes. Governor Buxton, Ray Stevenson's character from RRR, is more grounded than this.
Wow. Okay.
In the Patriot.
When he says there's rules of war, I'll give you a lesson in the rules of war. That is a perfect line in that sentence. He doesn't owe him nothing at this point. He showed up on horseback, and he's going to burn your farm, and he's going to kill you.
Here's like the codex, I think, that kind of leans into Joseph's point. I feel like the movie is trying to have its cake and eat it too. Like, this is a 3-hour war drama where we're supposed to emotionally connect with, this guy who's basically lost all of his family. And like 5 minutes later, the dude gets on his knee and puts a bayonet through a fucking horse. Like, you can't, it's such a drastic difference in tone.
It's a flagpole.
Whatever.
The American flag.
I think it doesn't work when you're trying to balance this like rich character drama with stupid as shit action where they think a ghost is killing them because one dude has 30 muskets and doesn't want to reload, so you just boom, boom, boom. Rah. Like it's
not a ghost because he has 30 muskets. It's because they don't know where he's at. It's guerrilla warfare before guerrilla warfare.
Trying to reload when those fuckers are just doing this for like 5 minutes.
And let me ask you a question that needs to be like. The stupidest expression I've ever heard is have your cake and eat it too. Why the fuck would you have cake if you don't want to eat it? Answer the question. You can't.
Cream cheese frosting. It's disgusting.
I agree with that's 100%. Cream cheese frosting is awful. But that's my whole point. I'm just saying, when you go into the movie with Roland Emmerich as your director and you're like, man, they're trying to make him too villainous. Excuse you? That's like saying you're having too much fun. Like, what are you talking about? That's the point.
I feel like listen, I'm hearing all the complaints. I do think on some end the complaint of it wants to be serious at times and then it's like a goofy action movie. I think it's valid. I think you're absolutely right. It's just I don't care, and it works. Like if you were to ask me how does a hydroelectric dam work, I couldn't tell you. I just know it fucking works. Like that's the case with this movie. Like I can't tell you why it works. It just works. All right.
You know what?
I have no response to that.
On that note, let's just get scores. That's the best. That's the best mic drop ever. Somebody's gonna.
If this was a debate show, Mark, you just won.
Somebody's gonna send him a whole like Wikipedia article. How Hydra like dams work later.
Don't do that, Nazari. I don't want to read it. All right.
Don't worry. On Facebook, he won't respond.
And by the end, when you finish reading the article, you'll be convinced that the Patriot is not good.
Mark.
Yeah, too good. I think I may have it half a star lower than this, but I don't care. I'll give 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is an incredible film. I love it more and more I watch it.
Yeah, I was doing something I guess on Letterboxd once. I'm like, oh god, if I have this at like 4.5, what will people think? I don't care. It's 4.5. I have a damn good time. It is a half star because there are some things that I could just do without of the overall movie. But yeah, I'm fully on board. This is TNT. Like this movie came on all the time, and I watched it all the time. I don't think I've seen that the prisoner exchange scene multiple times in my life, just because I think I turned on TNT at the right that moment. Joseph,
the first time I watched it was a 4. I might have to go 3.5 on this rewatch, but again, sorry.
I bet if you still were into the girl, it'd still be a 4. So that's respect.
No comment.
There it is. I know. Spence.
I'm voting for Mark. I think he made some really good points. I am at a 3.5. Again, it's the thing of like, while I'm sitting there, I'm like, God, it's really long. I'm engaged, but I'm not really like connected. It's a very easy watch, which I think kind of like benefits the whole experience.
Cool.
To quote that one guy from Pawn Stars, the best I could do is 2.5. I'm sorry.
That's fair. All right, last movie of the night. Good Morning Vietnam. I'm interested to think. I think the biggest thing, one, is how different the portrayal of this guy in the movie is to who he is in real life, because he's not Robin Williams, and he can. I wonder how people like feel like how their person is portrayed like in like screens and stuff. Like how do they overall like it? Like this guy, I don't know how he would feel about his portrayal in this overall movie, because he comes off a little like creepy, goofy, and just like rebellious, just to be rebellious. But the goods. I think Robin Williams is one of the funniest human beings that ever existed. So that's my first talking point. What do you guys think?
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I also feel like so this is my first time watching this. It's one of those ones where I'm glad I was on this episode, because I'm not a big comedy like guy. So this is probably one that would have been stuck in that like purgatory of, oh yeah, I'll get around to it forever, and it would just never be prioritized. But yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. Yeah, I think like Cody was saying with Robin Williams' performance, I think he's really like the main selling point for this movie. Like, because yeah, there's some stuff that hasn't aged like great in it, but like it's not as bad, I think, as it could have been. Like the story overall. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I also really liked Bruno Kirby as the villain. I thought he was really funny for how not funny he was, but like the way he sold it when he did his first show, and he sits back like he just cooked, and he's like, "You guys owe me an apology." I think
that scene is probably me trying to make others laugh. I loved Bruno Kirby in this movie, almost to a insanely relatable degree. It's sad.
Yeah. And I just like I like movies that like get into movies that are about comedians, where like they don't just feel the need to be like they're depicted as real people who don't just need to be funny all the time. Like he's funny in this movie to cheer up others around him and himself, but then you get in moments in his downtime where he's like, I don't want to be funny right now. People try to tell him to tell a joke, and he's like, no. And he's like, you know, I just found like his character very interesting and following it throughout. So yeah, I quite like this actually.
Yeah, about that scene where, or at least one of those scenes where he is talking about not wanting to be funny. If I had seen this when Williams was still alive, I feel like it would just be a regular scene in that movie where the character is feeling down. Nowadays, it just hits differently for me. And then the scene where he's talking with all of the other soldiers in those two trucks also hits so much differently now than I feel like if I had seen this 20 years ago when Robin was still here. So like I felt surprisingly some strong emotions from those scenes. This was also a first time watch for me, by the way. So thank you for that. And I also really love that one part where talking about Bruno Kirby, he tells everyone that they need to do this and that, and he talks about VP Nixon, and then Adrian goes, "Excuse me, sir," and I'm looking this up. Yes, seeing as how the VP is such a VIP, shouldn't we keep the PC on the QT? Because if it leaks to the VC, he could end up MIA, and then we'd all be put on the KP. And I was just like, I'm holding my laughter as much as the other soldiers are in that scene, but I'm also more free to laugh. So, like, that kills me when I saw that.
I think it's really interesting because there are some really good comedic actors in this movie, and how they play unfunny. Yeah. I think is like more of a talent than you can even like think of. I just don't know how everybody like. I don't know if there's like a comfort actor like that's Williams for me. He just it's the actor that regardless of the movie, it feels like it takes me out of the real world for a little bit. Like he just has this like presence that is just like comforting for me as an actor. So like in this movie, because when he does like the whole bit about like how he keeps bending the rules and breaking the rules and they keep getting mad at him, and he's like the last one, he's sitting with the guy, he's like, God, you need a blowjob more than every other white guy ever. And like the guy walks out and he goes, I'm transferring you. What? Transferring you to Guam. Listen, I've defended you for a while, but you're just mean. Like at this point, like and this is just radio. So nothing personal. But like how he goes in there with the bombing that happened, and he wants to say, which is fictional, like didn't actually happen in his life. So a lot of the movie is fictional based on his life. So that's some of the stuff like when you read about that, you realize, but like where he just wants to break that news and they're like, no, it's not been thinking. It's like, I was fucking there. Like I saw it happen. Let me do it. And he like ends up breaking allegedly. And he ends up getting like in trouble. He's like, you're right. I'll just suspend him. But like they realize like how much like comfort he brought. And that's like a real thing that Williams did in like normal day life. Like he would go to like military bases and like do comedy. Like he was the comedy provider of like Schindler's List, like where Steven would bring him in to like break the norm of like because of how depressing the scenes were. And it just hurts like watching it nowadays because I think with how Joseph was like alluding to of like his passing and stuff. And when you think like the funniest human being on the world, this guy had no worries in the world and how much he was really struggling with internally. And that's just something that just like every laugh he delivers, like how hurt he truly was. It's just something that's hard to look back on. But like his overall performance just in this is just like how I don't know how much improv, how much rift he was, how much free reign he got. I don't know how many notes he gets as an actor, but like I don't think there's much. And like how he can just vamp and just go is just it just works really well.
According to IMDb, Robin Williams ad-libbed all of Adrian Cronauer's broadcasts in the movie.
Makes perfect sense. Like, and just like how he was as a person, how he made the people, and like it's just a weird setting because like him just doing comedy bits, like but set into Vietnam, like during the conflict, like all the struggles that were happening, and he was just brought in there to like be the levity and like how. Look, if I was in the military and had to listen to half these other people do the radio broadcast, just turn off the radio. I couldn't do it. But to hear him just vamp and like change up the vibe and then him pushing and them so angry, like when he breaks it down, like when Kirby brings it down, like what's appropriate, what's not appropriate on the radio, what you can do, and everybody's just sitting there listening to him, like, bro, like you want the I told you no Beach Boys, like, and very few Frank Sinatra. Like you just can't like
would
so
Bob
much
Dylan
time.
would Bob Dylan be out of line? So far out of line.
You know who is great?
Don't talk about the weather. Don't talk about how shitty the weather is. It's fine. Everything's good.
I think like just like number one, I think my favorite scene in the movie is towards the end when we're getting some perspective on. I think you pronounce it Tuan, the girl's brother. Is like why he's part of the Viet Cong and like his like little breakdown confessing his backstory. I think is really well acted. I think it is like the true like I come into this thinking like oh yeah it's kind of like it's a comedic biopic, but biopics are still gonna like have some heft to it. That is the only scene where I feel like a real dramatic sense of weight, and I think he sells it really well. Also, Forrest fucking Whitaker, like. Chameleon, like such a sweetheart. I love the energy he brings to everything. He's like, I'm just happy to be here, and the way that he takes over at the end, like I'm there. Like, I get it, dude.
Personally,
My one thing,
with him and I hate him.
I was just gonna say, like, my one thing about that scene with Tuan, I feel like could have led to somewhere more substantial. I don't know. I felt like. I agree with what you were saying, Spence, about how he acts really well in that scene, but then he just disappears, and then we're left with Adrian being so disillusioned about Vietnam, which I understand is the point about him trying to him being transferred by the end. But like, I was also feeling like there could be something else there. Like we know that a bunch of characters in Vietnam War movies are disillusioned by the end of it, but like. I don't know. I felt like there was something missing that I wish I got more out of it. It just Tuan talks about why he fights with the Viet Cong and then he just disappears. I don't know. I felt a little underwhelmed by that particular aspect near the end of the movie.
I was shocked and like pleasantly surprised that the movie was like actually getting into that dialogue because I was like, and like having a more like nuanced discussion about it because I was worried about it going into this where it was like basically a story. Like I was like, do we really need a story about like just the Vietnam War told from the perspective of, oh, isn't this great that this one guy like went on the radio and played music for the soldiers? I'm like, it feels like there's other parts that are more important that the Vietnam War to tell, other stories that are more important to tell. So for the movie to actually get into that and like have a more nuanced discussion about the Vietnam War in general and like the conflict there, I think that was surprising and well done. So yeah.
Mark.
I mean, to be fair, there's like a million of those movies. Like
Yeah.
I think like that because I do think that is part of what this movie's kind of superpower is that
Yeah.
I think it's less concerned with at least the like the impact of Vietnam and more of like the impact that this guy had on the soldiers of Vietnam. How at the very least he made them feel like they weren't there for at least the hour or so he was on the radio. And we and kind of going back to the we feel that in the scene in which like he's just talking to those soldiers like in the trucks where he's just kind of bullshitting with them for a little bit and they're able and they're able to get like this one good thing before they go off to war. It's I feel like in the sense like that like I mean because I do see like your point like like it because it's set in Vietnam. I feel like we need kind of some more emotional impact or we gotta critique the Vietnam War and somehow it's like we really I don't think we do, at least for this story. I don't think so.
Any bads you want to bring up? We touched all over it, but
I have held.
So go ahead, Sven. Sorry.
I have held a burden for 26 years. I don't really like Robin Williams.
Oh.
I feel like he is Paul Feig's favorite actor because all he does is improv, and I feel like he doesn't really add a lot of depth to a lot of his comedies. I love him as a dramatic actor. Like Cody, you told me to watch Awakenings. I fucking love that. He is amazing in Good Will Hunting, amazing in Dead Poet Society. He's not playing a character here. I feel like he is just Robin Williams, and even like Joseph said, he's improving basically everything. Like a lot of the time spent with this character is just Robin Williams being himself, and that's not what I'm coming to the movie for. It's not a fucking biopic. It's not a drama. It's Robin Williams on the radio. I would love if he was a radio host. I think that'd be fine. But if I'm coming here to watch a movie, I think it fundamentally fails as a movie and offers nothing to me.
See,
do you think this is?
Well, I will say some of the improv I do agree doesn't hit. Like kind of like what we were talking about, Popstar throwing so many jokes per minute. Robin Williams does feel like that to me at times where I don't laugh at everything. There are times here where I can tell that pop culture references from this era would have hit me more if I had grown up in that area. So like there's a bunch of things that I'm missing out there. Now that said, for me at least, I am kind of different from what Spence was saying about Robin Williams. For me, Robin Williams is going to be a person who draws me into a movie pretty much no matter what. So like, at least for me, him being there with his presence just still grabs me to watch the whole movie, even if the improv doesn't always land, you know?
I just think it needs the context. Like Aladdin, fucking great in Aladdin, because it fits perfectly with what Williams is doing. I think that he's a bad fit here with trying to basically be this super broad comedic character in the movie, kind of like forming around him in a way that basically you lose any semblance of what a movie is supposed to be. Because, Williams wants to improv for 80% of it.
So I don't disagree with you on this movie because Williams and the real guy are not the same at all. Like polar opposites. There was no censorship. There was no bombing. There was no battle. He was just more energetic than that, and he said the phrase "Good morning, Vietnam." Like that's similar to who he was. But my question is, do you feel like that in every Williams comedy movie that he doesn't show any depth?
No, but I still am not a fan of him really. Like, I don't like Mrs. Doubtfire, flat out. I don't think he is the problem with it, but it's like, I think it's a series of like people holding him on such a high pedestal, and I am just not really connecting with like what he's known for. Like his stand-up is good. Aladdin is good. I like him in Robots, sure. But I think because of who he is as a person, kind of reverse engineering the movies around him, like on a totally different note, like Happy Feet. The king, emperor, or whatever, penguin, isn't a character. It is Robin Williams, or actually not the emperor. It's like the one of like the side dudes, whatever. I think that he just has a way of turning the roles into him when it's just, oh hey, we need Robin Williams. Let's just do his thing. It's those studios doing it.
So
like
I would
doubt. Oh, go ahead.
in the context of this film, I would disagree on that. But I get where you're coming from in other movies. It's just in this one, I feel like it's like there's such a dichotomy to his character of like when he's doing the persona, when he goes on radio, and then immediately when he goes off the air and he's just like a normal like person who like, yeah, he wisecracks every so often, but it's like to me it does feel like an actual fully realized character where it's like, you know, like I was saying earlier, he turns it off instantly and then he immediately puts it back on. Like, so I don't know. For me in this film, I think it works. But yeah,
sorry, you go ahead. I've talked a lot.
I mean, I anything I'm going to say is going to just come off as defensive because of who he is as a person for me. But like, I feel like there's more emotional weight to Williams's comedic performances if they allow. The references that I heard is like Happy Feet and stuff like that, and I'm like, I don't know what you personally want from the guy.
Skewed, unfortunately.
No, I know, and I don't know what he's like. And I think like from studio directions, I think I could definitely hear the notes as he's Robin Williams. He's showing up to do this thing. Do what you want to do. Like here's the lines. Do what you want, and that's a hurt. And because if you look through his filmography, there's a lot of bad. There's a lot of good. Like he does work a lot, which I think probably there's some underlining stuff there of how much he did work and how much he like to maybe take his mind off things and didn't always choose the best projects. And there's comedies that don't work at all, and I don't disagree with you at all on that. I just think there are some out there that definitely have emotional weight, but A Grudge for 26 years and Robin Williams seems like
it's not a
weird fucking battle.
It's more that I know I'm going to get persecuted for it because it's not like I'm fundamentally like, oh, fuck him as a person or anything. And again, I think like as I'm talking through it, it's the kind of basically being like, oh, people love him for this. The studio is saying, hey, do your shtick. Like I think him as a dramatic actor work really well. I think it's.
Do you hate improv movies? Like, do you hate when comedians?
Again, I think I don't really love Paul Feig just kind of like letting his actors go. But like for like a positive example, I think like he kind of improvs too much in The Fisher King, but I think it works with the character. I think there's too often a case, and I think it's like that with this movie, where there is no Adrian Cronauer character. It's Robin Williams kind of doing his own thing, and I think it undermines the rest of the movie. I do want to say something besides this. I know I just did it this like right 10 minutes. I think the movie around him doesn't really work. I don't like the supporting villains at the radio station. I think they're kind of flat. The romance is flat. I feel like we don't really dive a whole lot into what made the Vietnam War so complicated, other than like one or two scenes. Like it feels incredibly surface level of a way of like, hey, what can we do to build a vehicle around Williams? It's just not giving me what I want from a movie. I already don't like war movies, but I feel like when you're not interacting with the subject of war, really, I am just totally disconnected.
Would this movie feel really weird if we're breaking down the Vietnam conflict? Wouldn't it?
I mean,
I said it would. I already said that it would, so yeah.
Like, I think this is basically there's a conflict happening. He's here to bring levity to the situation, but not understanding. I felt if they went into a breakdown of why we're at the Viet Cong, like battling that, I feel like it would be out of place completely. But that's just me. I'm not saying breakdown. Like I think the Vietnam conflict is very interesting to break down. I just don't think this would be the movie to break it down.
I get that. I just feel like there were parts of it that they could have developed a bit more in this movie, or because like even though I said like I like that one scene where they do with what was the name of the character again?
Twan.
Twan, yeah. Where I like that one scene where they, because that's the one where they actually like address it more head on.
Yeah.
But like it was just like, for me there are points where I'm like, I feel like there's a more interesting story going on in the background that they're not like really, the movie's not really going into it as much as I would want them to, you know.
And I think
What?
it could get a little white saviory if you lean into it too much. But I do like the scene where he's talking with Trin. Yeah, because like her whole family goes along for their first date, and the way that he's talking to them and like connecting with the locals, I think that's interesting because it's no longer how does Robin Williams as a person affect the other soldiers, is how does he fit within Vietnam. I do think that's interesting. I wish we got to see more of that, just not with the romance. I really don't like the not fully a romance, but kind of a romance. I don't like.
I agree.
I don't either.
Yeah, I think that the whole plot line felt very.
And that didn't even happen. That didn't even happen. So like that's a rough like ad from studio whatever creator to make it seem like care more.
Also, I know, and then I'll let Mark talk because I know he hasn't talked in a minute. This movie had like 17 different montages in it, and I'm like,
Sure.
he probably could have done with like, I don't know, a few less. I feel like I was like, oh my god, we're doing another one. Okay, well I do like the song, so and I put up with it. But yeah, the soundtrack is good. I forgot to say that in the positives, but yeah.
I mean, I'll be completely honest. Like, what wasn't a ton to go in, because I mean, feel like you guys kind of covered a lot of stuff I'd want to bring up, at least with the Robin Williams and the side characters at all. Like, but yeah, I mean, just to double down on that point, I mean, like Patton, Casualties of War, Full Metal, like all those movies exist to be to be critical of the war. There's not a single war movie that is positive about the Vietnam War. So like all those movies exist, and I feel like this movie is fine just existing as the guy who made these soldiers feel like they were at home. Like, and that's
You're forgetting about the greatest beer run ever.
Sure, yeah.
We could. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
No, I was just go ahead, and if you have something, I was going to get scores.
I was going to do some stupid shit. Like, there's a whole bit where Michael Haneke was like, you can't make any war film without it being pro-war, and there's so much like minutia there that we can get into the bullshit.
That's Francois Truffaut, by the way.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was Haneke at like some kind of like director's roundtable because he was shitting on
a lot of people said it
existing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A lot.
Yeah,
I think Truffaut said something very similar, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just like I have a really weird appetite for war films. I just generally don't like them. I think it's just the approach this takes to war, where it's using war as the backdrop, but not. I feel like it's not informing a lot of the characters or the story, other than the setting, which sounds like really like surface level bullshit. It just kind of brings me out of the experience.
Oh, that's 100% fair. I mean, have you seen The Birdcage?
I have. I need to give it a rewatch. I think I only like kind of liked it. I do think I would like it more. I think the thing with Williams is I don't want him to be like just like, oh hey, make a movie around Williams, let him do whatever. I think if he fits in a role is where it works.
I get that. Okay, scores on Good Morning Vietnam. I'm at 4 stars. I'm not like a overall like it's Williams, so he gets a pass for me. I don't like the romance. I feel like it's a little bit too forced in that situation. I like the Twan scene, I do, but it also feels like at the very end they're like, hey, he's here in Vietnam. Let's make sure they know that it's about Vietnam and the conflict and everything. So it felt shoehorned in. It works, but overall it's like we're trying to like nail the point, like that point home. But overall, I think the brilliance of this movie is the amount of characters that are really funny in every other movie. And they are chose to be not funny in this movie. It's out of like, I think that's got to be the hardest task ever. It's like, hey, you're really genuinely a funny person. Be horrible at comedy. And they do such a good job to make William stand out even more. So that's 4. Spence.
I have it as a 2.5. I think that again, I think some of the works, I think the performances are good. It was at a 3, and then we started talking about it, and I got kind of just really dejected by I don't understand how it works for other people, where a lot of it is just kind of a very like passe kind of experience for me. Yeah.
Reminder not to bring Mrs. Doubtfire when Spence is on, because I will kill you.
The gender politics, I could talk for half an hour on. Like, there's so much there that is like me nitpicking.
It's run by Furtine. Joseph.
I have it at 3.5 out of 5. There's a lot that I like. There's elements that I wish I liked more about it. Like, I wanted to laugh a little more for being marketed as a war comedy, but I do think it has some depth to some of the politics about censorship, and then Bruno Kirby and Robin Williams are fantastic.
Mark.
Yeah, when Spence brought up them using the war as a backdrop, it gave me flashbacks of some TikTok argument I got in with some guy over warfare.
Are you on TikTok, Mark?
But
this is the most shocking revelation of the episode. Drop that app.
Yeah, this is a perfectly fine movie. It 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's good.
Dylan. I went to Dylan last a lot tonight, and it's not intentional. It's just how it felt.
No, fuck him, it's fine.
Yeah, fuck you, Dylan.
Damn. All right. Yeah, I'm also at a 3.5. I really quite liked it. Yeah, even though it has its issues, like I brought up, I echo the sentiment that said about like the improv. There were times where I'm like, where Robin Williams would say something, and I'm like, oh, that's really funny. And there are other times where I'm like, was there a joke in there? What he just said? But like, I think the riffing for the most part like really works though. And yeah, I like the movie overall.
Okay, that's the show. This is one of my best episodes in a really long time. Not that the panel really helped. No, I'm just kidding. The discussion was better. I switched it up. I think it works better as a show. Let everybody just free flow, go where they want to go. Felt stagnant for a while, so still getting it. I haven't added another person to Roundtable for the 20th. We don't have a movie selected. It will be Mark Manjaka. It will be Joe's. It will be Mark, me, Jacoby, Mike Hanley, and I'm trying to get Andrew James Barr. So if that's the person, then if not, there will be another one. I will post when we pick our movies, and we'll see you next week. Thank you guys for being on. Wow, it says I'm just going to play the melee outro because it's here, and I'm just going to end it. So y'all have a great night.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
In case I don't see you.
I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.